Hello, hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you all doing today? So for this video, knowing that it's May, I wanted to make a special video because this month actually is recognition with a community that I'm a part of, which is the celiac disease. Now, I also want to state that May is also part of Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. Just want to make sure I got that correct, as well as Mental Health Awareness Month. And those are very important. And knowing that celiac disease has been put around the world, it's also not as well known of it being May for Celiac Disease Awareness. So in that case, I wanted to share my story for this month on how I found out I myself was diagnosed with celiac disease. So what is celiac disease? To give a professional definition of celiac disease on celiac.org, celiac disease is a serious autoimmune disease that occurs in genetically predisposed people where the ingestion of gluten leads to damage in the small intestines. It is estimated to affect 1 in 100 people worldwide. 2.5 million Americans are undiagnosed and are at risk for long-term health complications. When people with celiac disease eat gluten, a protein found in wheat, rye, and barley, their body mounts an immune response and attacks the small intestines. These attacks lead to damage to the villi, the small finger-like projectors in the line of the small intestines that promote nutrient absorption. When the villi get damaged, nutrients cannot be absorbed properly into the body. Celiac disease is hereditary, meaning that it runs in families. People with first-degree relative with celiac disease, parent, child, sibling, have a 1 in 10 risk of developing celiac disease. So that's why it's so important to spread the word about it, just because it's something that is now coming to light a little more, but I think there's still more of a message that can come through. And that's why I'm wanting to share my story today. So to begin with, I was raised in an Italian-Polish family. So carbs were completely part of the diet, whether it was cakes, bagels, bread, pasta, the whole thing. Carbs was just part of the diet. And in high school, I was very fit from being in competitive marching band, and I would eat a lot of carbs. I mean, even when I would come home after practice, one of my biggest snacks was eating pretzels with marshmallow fluff that you could get a container. I mean, I would sit down in a chair and just dip pretzel sticks into the marshmallow fluff and I would eat it. No matter what bread, pasta, pies, or anything else like that I ate around this time in high school, which was about 2014, I was perfectly fine, perfectly healthy. I felt no symptoms. My symptoms actually didn't start until my first semester of college, and I remember it very vividly. It was 2014. After I graduated high school, how ironic is that? I first experienced a form of symptom from after eating at the cafeteria, where I had a soft serve ice cream on a cone. And I was watching a movie with my roommate when I felt a lot of discomfort in my stomach, and I ended up having to go to the bathroom. It was a very painful trip to the bathroom. Because it was my first time experiencing something like that, I thought, oh, maybe I just ate something weird at the cafeteria, or maybe I ate too much and my body was just reacting, trying to get it out of my system. After all, we're talking about college cafeteria food. That is all you can eat. It's made for mass amounts of people. It just made sense to me. Little did I know. Anyways, I continued eating gluten-containing foods, which, like normal at the cafeteria, were waffles, ice cream on a cone, pasta, etc. And ever so often I would get sick the same way. And so because all the food contained dairy, I thought, oh, I'm lactose intolerant. Because I thought it was lactose intolerance, I did lay off the dairy. And it did help that a little after halfway through the semester, the soft serve ice cream machine broke, that I wasn't able to get the ice cream. So that helped with the lack of consumption of dairy. But of course, from time to time, I would still eat some because, it's kind of hard to cut out cheese when you've had it for so long. I'm not even gonna lie on that one. After I finished my first semester of college, I actually transferred to university in my hometown and decided to move back home for the rest of my career, or for the rest of my university time. And while I was home on break, I was eating a bagel when I started to feel similar symptoms of my stomach being bloated. And I thought to myself, oh, I'm not lactose intolerant, I'm gluten intolerant. But did that stop me from eating it? No. Granted, I did begin to eat less of it. Since I thought it was an intolerance to the food, I did try to build a tolerance back for it, which is something that is likely to happen for some people. So what I would do is I would stop eating it for periods of time and then slowly try to incorporate it back in. But no matter what I did, I would still feel those symptoms, and it didn't seem to get any better. Around this time, I have read about celiac disease, and there were a lot of symptoms, part of it that I had myself, which was the bloating, painful trips to the bathroom, gas, etc. I was pretty confident with it being gluten intolerance, but the idea of celiac disease did stay in the back of my mind. So it never went away, thinking that maybe I had celiac. Around this time, I was dating a guy whose parents were really great cooks. There was no limitation to any types of food they would cook, and also the gluten containing in it. I mean, there were even weekends where they would have their own pizzas. Like, they would make their own pizzas from scratch. And it wasn't to their fault at all, but I would consume it and I would get sick. And this actually made it to where I started eating over there less because of it. Moving forward, around the time of 2017 to 2018, I started to date a new guy whose mom was actually celiac, and she expressed to me her story and some of the symptoms that she had. And the symptoms that she shared with me were very similar to what I had. She even shared a lot of knowledge with me about how a lot of people have celiac disease and don't realize it. It was also around this time where I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I had recently graduated college, and I didn't feel like I was moving upward in my career to where I was, exceeding my full potential. So at the time, I had started to train to join the military and actually be a musician in one of their bands. So not only was I trying to train to get back in shape, but also trying to work on my musical skills. And because I was full-time with the company I was working with, I finally had health insurance and decided to go get tested for celiac disease, because it was just something that kept my attention, and it was an answer that I wanted to get, especially since while researching, I found out that if you have celiac disease, you cannot join the military. And so if I had celiac disease and I was damaging my body more, eating the foods from the military, I didn't want to risk that for my health. And because it was also genetic, I wanted to be able to share that information with my family. So if they were sharing any similar symptoms, they could go get tested themselves. Now, I never did an endoscopy for my diagnosis, but I did do the gluten challenge, which is where you eat foods containing gluten for a certain amount of time. And when it comes to the gluten challenge, I'm just referencing Use Chicago Medicine. It says a gluten challenge is a period of time when gluten is added back into a person's diet to assist in diagnosis of celiac disease Antibodies take time to build into the bloodstream before they can be detected through blood analysis. For a gluten challenge, we recommend eating half slice of bread or a cracker each day for the duration of the challenge. Prior to blood testing, we recommend 12 weeks of eating gluten, and prior to an endoscopy biopsy, we recommend 2 weeks of eating gluten. In case of a severe reaction to gluten, a medical professional may opt to shorten the 12-week challenge and move immediately to endoscopic biopsy. For me, I did the blood test, and once I did the blood test, I waited for the results and kind of continued doing the gluten challenge in case they needed to do more testing. Now, at the time when I was in my process of getting diagnosed, I had read a lot that it was for 2 weeks that you had to do a gluten challenge. And so that's what I had done. I also am not the biggest fan of the gluten challenge because even if you are celiac and you're trying to get answers to what's going on with your body and they're telling you to eat gluten, in a sense, if you are celiac, you're really just damaging your body more. However, I am not a medical professional, nor am I trying to give any medical advice. Again, I am just sharing my story. And because I did it for 2 weeks and I read other sources now, I wonder if the results that I got were not effective, and I'll get into that. So the results would take a while to come back. And when I went to the doctor's office to get my results, not only did my blood work not show any signs of antibodies, but it said that I was very healthy, which was very questionable to me. And in my gut, it was telling me that this isn't right. And so I decided to listen to my gut. And in a calm way, the nurse that was giving me the results, I told her, this isn't right. Please squeeze me in for an appointment for today. And I actually had to... Alright, sorry about that cut. I got a call from Discord from family and friends. Anyways, I was telling the nurse, like, hey, this isn't right. Something's not lining up. Please squeeze me in for an appointment today. And she was able to do that right then and there. I ended up in a room, and the doctor that I was working with before wasn't available. I think she was out of town. So another doctor came through, and I did another blood work test. And this test they did was more for the genetic gene. So I did the blood work within, I want to say it was about a week and a half when my appointment was scheduled 2 weeks away. I got a call, and they woke me up from the call because I was working overnight. I got the call from them, and my test came back positive, detecting the gene, and they confirmed that I had celiac disease. They still kept my appointment in case I had any questions that I needed answered from the doctor, and so I did do that. But in a sense, because I listened to my body and I listened to my gut, and of course I did have to fight to get the answer, what I had initially thought I had, after a period of time, I was correct. And I know now in the medical field, celiac disease has come more to light. There's been a lot of awareness that's come through, people sharing their story, their experiences, and it's not so much like a last resort as it used to be for a lot of people. Now it's coming more into light that a lot of people have it, which is incredible. And when I found out that I was diagnosed, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, for all of these years, I thought that it was an intolerance, and I had tried to build myself up to it, only to realize that I was damaging my body more and more just to try to make myself better. But it was really something out of my control that I could do, and it was just a genetic thing for me. It was, in a sense, like, oh, okay, cool, I'm celiac. Like, I just can't eat bread, pasta, like the normal stuff. I can't eat wheat, barley, or rye. But during that time, even harder when I realized more of the context of it. And I still learn more about it to this day. One of the biggest things was soy sauce or teriyaki sauce. I realized I can't eat those kinds of sauces because they initially contain wheat. So I had to switch to a different sauce. Now I use something that's like soy sauce, but it's liquid aminos instead. and it's gluten-free. For a while, I felt nervous because, in a sense, I had to reconfigure a diet. I had to read every single label for ingredients, and I was thinking to myself, is this a secret word for gluten? Because I was afraid that I would accidentally buy something with gluten and then I would make myself sick. For a while, I was really scared to go out and eat restaurants. After the breakup with that boyfriend, actually, I was scared like I'll never find a partner that truly understands what I'm going through, and I'm gonna have to try to date someone that is celiac who understands my story. But now I live a very healthy and happy lifestyle. I'm able to go out. I have found online support groups where I can talk about being celiac with others. My boyfriend now is super supportive and everything about celiac, and he actually used to work in food service, so he understands what it's like to maintain a safe environment. And he eats gluten. He's completely not affected by it, and so it's important to me in the relationship that if he wants to eat gluten, he doesn't feel limited. We just keep everything separated so that he can enjoy his snacks and I can enjoy my snacks and not be affected or get gluten. And we're always trying different restaurants. I'm still very active, and so far I just still live a great life. It's just I have something genetically that could potentially be passed down, just depends on the odds. And it's something that is permanent and is still being heavily researched for cure. But again, I wanted to make this video to let anybody else know that if you're questioning if you have it, understand that you're not alone, and people have had a very similar story. And if you think you have it, you should definitely go get tested, or even bring it up to your doctor and see if it's something that could be in your realm. Had I not been tested, I could have increased my chances of osteopenia, osteoporosis, cancer, and overall just damage my body more in ways that I didn't think could be possible, all from eating bread or pasta. I hope this can be a form of knowledge to anybody out there, and if you're questioning it, definitely bring it up, because there's more to this disease that is still being researched. It's a very interesting disease, I think. And if you are somebody who has been recently diagnosed, know that you're not alone. Everybody was scared, nervous, confused. Confused is definitely a big one about the disease. And there's so many different places and resources and support that you can reach out for. Now that I'm in the community, it's such a cool community to be a part of and so supportive. But anyways, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the story, or if you found it helpful or supportive in any way, give it a thumbs up. If you know anybody who is experiencing a similar story, whether they're sad from their diagnosis or if they're even curious about it, share the video. Like my personality, if you like my story, subscribe for more, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.